We're going to get back into it. I just want to share just a couple of thoughts on growth. And this webinar that I wanted to do here and that I want to do here on Barrier Buster is actually a part of a training that I do with trainers. And so it's Barrier Busters training the trainers, and those that are using the Barrier Buster app to train people that they work with. I usually meet with them at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and there's people from around the country and around the nation, other nations that jump on that training. But I got to the last part, which is the part of growth. And I thought, you know what, I'd like to share this a little bit on a larger and more open platform with these coaches. So I just want to just share a couple of thoughts, and until I can get this set up, I probably won't spend a lot of time just talking directly face to face, because I do want to show you some things on the screen. And I want you just to get a good visual of what we're taking people through. And I found this quote. I'm just gonna read it here. I found this quote from Napoleon Hill, which is an excellent quote. It says, "Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle." This is by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, if you don't know, he's one of the greatest trainers of success, and one of the developers. They would never call himself a coach, right? They just are teachers, and he was a teacher. That really, a lot of his teaching is still being talked about and taught by coaches and by trainers. And Napoleon Hill, he wrote a book, Think and Grow Rich. And in Think and Grow Rich, his desire was to take and understand what was the keys to success, what are the keys to success, and then how do we make those keys apply to anyone at any background, starting at any level. And so one of the thought processes is, how do we take a person who is impoverished, literally living in poverty, and bring them into a place of success and that everyone could achieve. We'll have to talk about in the future just some of the stats on what he was able to achieve, how many books that he was able to sell, and how many people he was able to make into millionaires. I'm really inspired by him and Andrew Carnegie in the sense that they were able to take people from raw material and make them millionaires, and make them and change society based upon their teaching, their education. And they studied people, and they studied the need, or the needs, the things that are necessary in achieving. And here, this is such an important statement. I want to read it again. It says, "Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle." The reason I worked on the Barrier Buster, and we are developing this Barrier Buster personal development program, is so that people can work continuously in the necessary levels of effort to overcome, to grow, to become who they want to be, to achieve what they want to achieve. And this is going to take exactly what Napoleon Hill is saying. Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. And so if we know that, then that's going to actually change our lives. It changes the way we approach things. I was thinking about a gentleman this week. He reads so much. He has so much education and so much reading, and yet his progress is very slow. And I realized that there's a lot of times that we can spend our time reading, because reading is extremely important. When you can take someone's life that they spend 15 years, and you can digest it in a matter of days, all of their education, all of their lessons, all the things that they learned, their experiences, and digest it in just a matter of hours or days, that is something of value. But you still have to make it practical by applying it in your life. If you read a book and you don't find one or two principles in that book to apply, to literally grind into your life, you wasted your time reading that book. It just becomes information. It just becomes education. And education is about working out of you. This is another Andrew Carnegie, Napoleon Hill concept. It's working that which is in you out of you. So you can put a lot of information in. That's not where education is. Education truly is when you start to work that education out. You start to work what you put in, you start to work that information out, and you make it practical, and you put continuous effort in it. You put continual struggle in it, and realize it's not going to be easy. It's not just going to be based upon, I know the fundamentals. Well, if you are ever played basketball, football, baseball, any kind of sport, they say you have to, if your game is lacking, your next level is is not happening, then you have to go back to the fundamentals. What is the fundamentals? Is it going back to studying again? No, it's going back to practicing and exercising and doing the things, with continual effort and continual struggle, the things that you know that work. And there's things that you know that work. Now, this is going to be very important for you and I. If we're going to grow, if we're going to have the strength that we need to accomplish what we're called to and what we desire to accomplish, you have to become a person that chooses to grow. You choose growth every day, choose growth all the time. Make every circumstance an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to develop, an opportunity to be stronger. It doesn't mean everything's going to work out right, but those are opportunities to grow. If something doesn't work out the way that you planned it to work out, then use it as an opportunity to grow. This is going to be the key to breaking through and busting through any limitations and barriers. And on the next time we'll meet together, I'm going to go ahead and take you through these slides, because I think it's very important that you see this. That one of the things that I have here on the slide is growth consciousness demands a bigger picture. So if you're going to grow, you have to keep putting yourself into bigger thoughts, and you have to create bigger pictures. So if what you have today looks like what you meditated on 5 years ago, then you have stopped meditating. You've stopped growing in your mind. You have to create a bigger picture. You have to put yourself in environments that cause you to think outside of the box. You have to spend your time meditating on things in a bigger way. What does it mean to get a bigger car for you? What does it mean to get a better house for you? What does it mean to get, now we want to be people who are always looking and dreaming and stretching out for those things. And if those things are like, oh, those are material, then you're not in a position to grow. You have to put yourself in a position to grow spiritually, physically, and mentally, and financially, and relationally, in every way. And so when you download the Barrier Buster app, those are the first things we ask you. Where do you want to grow? Where are you at now? And how do you want to bring change into these circumstances? It's because if you don't actually put material to it, you're not going to grow. If you don't make it something that you can tangibly pursue, and it's something that is tangible, you're not going to grow. Spirituality is a way to grow, but if I'm more spiritual, you don't know that unless I have the fundamental processes of taking my spirituality and make it natural in the sense. So I feel like I'm more of a humble person. So that has to actually, I'm not saying that projecting on myself, but I'm saying if you feel like you've grown in humility, then that actually has to have an outworking. You have to show that in your life. Somehow it has to be displayed, meaning maybe you're not the first one and to lead and take over and take charge of the conversation. Maybe you're a better listener than you are a talker at this season. Maybe, so that spirituality must work itself out. So you can't just say, well, I'm just a better person. I'm spiritual now. You can't do that, because that's not going to be enough. You have to actually now cause it to function and manifest in the natural day-to-day workings and activities. So if you figure I'm going to be a humble person, or if I'm going to be a more generous person, that's spirituality, generosity. Being a generous person, that means you're looking to give more than you are to receive. You're looking to be a servant more than you are to be a taker. I had a great conversation with a business leader yesterday, and he just basically described his DNA in just a short sentence. And I thought it was the most powerful thing, because if you master these two things in the realm of the mind, or the realm of your emotions, and you get control of these things, you will have access to all the money and wealth and increase you want. And he said this, he says, I focus on two things. I focus on serving people and serving my customers and making them feel great, and answering their problems and solving their problems. So I'm serving them well, and I'm solving their problems. Those are the two things. Well, and those two things he's going to achieve, because that is spirituality, but it has to be outworking. You can say, I'm into people, and then every time you get around people, you make them serve you. You make them focus on you. No, that's not service, or that's not generosity, whatever it is. So you have to have this bigger picture, and the bigger picture is your spirituality. So when it's in your mind, it's in your heart, it's in your emotions, that's spiritual. That's when it's now not yet natural. So you see yourself in a car. You see yourself in a big car. I was telling my family this week, there's a car I want. And there's some things that I'm going to do before I get it. I said I have to take our Barrier Buster training in our business to another level. I have to take it to another level. I am not going to just go, I can go and buy a new car, but part of the reward of getting a new car is I just don't want to go and buy a new car. I would like to go, there's a specific way I want to buy it. So I see myself in this car, but the way I buy it is also important. Whether or not I go out and I get a loan, or whether or not I pay half of it off, or I pay all of it off, I pay cash, or whether or not we have this much income coming in through our businesses. That's important to me. That's going to be important. So now it's not just, do I see myself in a bigger car, but do I see myself in a nicer, bigger car, more safe, whatever your reasons for getting a bigger car, but how you go about getting that car and the rewards, what is this car connected to? So that's important. So that's a part of my growth picture. I am now putting a greater demand on my belief in me, my belief in what I am able to produce, or my belief in what our business is able to do. I put a greater demand on that. And that demand is going to afford me to have this picture. So we need to have those bigger pictures. The second thing I'm going to give you, and then I'm just going to jump off, I think. Maybe I'll go through a couple more because there's a lot of content here. The next thing you want to do after you're getting the bigger picture, you want to set aside the time to grow. You have to make decisions to set aside time to grow. A lot of people want bigger things. They want the bigger picture. I want the bigger house. I want the bigger car. Now, the reasons I want it, I don't want to explain that to you here, but there's reasons behind, there's why behind my desire to have better things. My desire to fly instead of flying first class or even comfort or whatever desire to fly in our own plane. There's reason behind that. But if I just have those reasons and I have this big picture, but I don't actually set aside the time to grow, to time to become the person that is going to have those things, the person that is going to have the car that I want, that's going to have the plane that I want, it's going to have the house and the family that I want, and the relationships and the recreation that I desire. If I have all of those dreams and I don't actually set aside the time to actually grow into that kind of person, then those things will never come to pass. I will continually just be someone who wants to have big things, big dreams, big plans, big goals, big hopes, big family, big whatever it may be. I'm going to have all of these things, but it's important that I set aside the time. And it's important that you set aside the time to grow. So when you set aside your time in the morning to download your Barry Buster, open up the Barry Buster, go to your focus, go to the objectives, go to all the things that are necessary in there, you're setting aside the time to grow. And then in the evening, when you go to your journal and you go through all the things that you learn about your journal before you go to bed and about your day, and you journal it and you put it in and you make a victory statement and declaration at the end of the day, there you'll have set aside the time to grow. And then throughout the course of the day, you set aside the time to grow. You set aside conferences to go to, podcasts to listen to, videos to go into, YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. We'll have things on there for you to grow. Set aside time to grow. One of the growth times for me is in the morning and of course in the evening, like I mentioned before. But during my workouts, I work out every day except for Sundays. I take Sundays off. Some days I'm traveling, so I have to take that day off if it's a busy day. I try to get in the gym anyway, but I try to have Sundays off as my workout. But in that time, while I'm working out, I'm growing. I'm growing physically. Ooh, I hope I'm getting big. I want to just get strong and healthy. I want my heart to be healthy. I want my lung capacity to be good. I want to be strong because I want to live this life. I've got big dreams, big pictures that I want to accomplish. But if I'm not physically growing, and if I'm not spiritually and mentally and emotionally growing, then none of that matters. And so what I want to do is I set aside a reading. If I'm going to be on the elliptical, if I'm going to be on a treadmill, if I'm going to be in a place or on a bike, I'm going to be in a position where I can read. I'm going to read. If I'm going to be in a position where I'm lifting, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to an audiobook that I've downloaded. I'm going to listen to videos, YouTube videos. I'm digesting something. And so I'm constantly putting myself in a place to grow, in a time to grow. Another thing is to have a place where you grow. This is probably going to be something we talk about even further. So when I was talking to the Barry Buster coaches, I would have told them, listen, make sure that the person you're coaching, working with, you tell them to set aside the time, but you also help them understand that they have to find a place. The moment I go to a certain place, when I sit into that place, I know my mind immediately kicks into growing. I'm writing a new book, so my mind is in growing. It's weird. I get inspired to write when it's time for me to go to bed. It's strange. I'm trying to flip that. I write all day. I'm taking notes, but I really get inspired to write down things that I've been meditating on right before I go to bed. So you have to have your times. So when you set your time to grow, determine who, determine what, determine where, determine when, determine why, and determine how. Those are going to be very important in your setting your time to grow. Who are you going to grow with? Who helps you grow? What teachers do you listen to that help you grow? Who do you spar with in your growth? Who do you talk about things with your growth? When you're learning something new, who do you I call it spar? Who do you spar with and go back and forth with conversation? And what are you digesting? Are you digesting spiritual books? Are you reading your Bible? Are you reading Napoleon Hill? What are you digesting? Are you watching videos? Are you watching Tracy Armstrong videos on YouTube? What are you putting in to grow? Are you just flipping through Facebook? I mean, I don't know if that's a determined space to grow in, not unless you go into Barry Buster or some other platform where it is designed to help you grow. Where are you best growing? Are you growing? I had a chair, and I'm looking for a new chair that I can just sit in. And when I sit there, that's my growth chair. That's my place where I meditate. That's my place where I connect. And so that's my growth chair. When do you do it? Are you best in the morning or are you best in the evening? Like I said, I'm an evening guy. I'm not even an evening guy. I like to stay up late. I'm a late night guy. I'm a 5-hour sleeper. I wake up 5 hours after I go to sleep, no matter when. I can go to sleep at 4 o'clock and wake up 5 hours later. I can go to bed. So I'm a 5-hour sleeper. I like that. I feel good about it. So I wake up I have thoughts. That's good for me. I know that that's going to happen. So I have an anticipation. When I wake up, I'm going to wake up with good ideas. When I go to bed, I'm going to go to bed with ideas or questions or thoughts. I know when my where and I know where my when is. And why? Why do I do it? Because of that big picture that I'm meditating on. I want to become a better person so I can have better things. And I know that that's going to challenge some of you. You need to know that you're supposed to have better things. Well, I don't need better things. Well, maybe you want to do better things. Maybe you want to help other people have better things. Oh, that's just as powerful. That's just as mighty. Mother Teresa did not lack in her desire to have bigger things because she wanted to feed more children in Calcutta. That was all a part of her having bigger things. It was associated to her big picture, her big vision. So she knew why. You need to know why. You need to know exactly and connect with that why. And then how. How are you going to go about it? Well, for us, we love studying and we train and we love developing people. We're about people, serving people, helping people serve other people. And we're about connecting people to their purpose that God has given them and connecting them to the influence that comes with that purpose. That's what we do. So this is important. You have to know why you do it and you have to know how you do it. How do you do it? I write books. I do videos now. I like videos. We do television. We do all kinds of things. So you have to know what that is. And so I want to just give you those two thoughts. First of all, let's go back to that Napoleon Hill thought. Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. So you have to put that in you. Continuous effort and struggle. Napoleon Hill made that very clear. I think he's a student of success. And he was a teacher of success. And we need to take that as an understanding. If you're trying to avoid these, you want to be strong, and you want to have growth, and you want to grow, and you're not putting in continuous effort and continuous struggle, then you're not growing. So this is the real revelation. Continually struggle and continually put efforts into the right things every single day, and you'll achieve the strength and the growth necessary to be who you want to become. So I want to encourage you, continue to tune in next week. Hopefully I'll have all the other stuff handled. Download Barry Buster app at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store. You download those and still in beta testing. So if you're experiencing any challenges, go ahead. There's a feedback button in there. Go ahead and feedback and give us some feedback. Let us know how we can grow and how we can make it better, because we're here really to serve you and to make you better and to make you stronger. Because if we all become better and stronger, society becomes better and stronger. America and the nation that we live in, whatever nation you're from, we have a lot of people downloading in Asia, which is beautiful, wonderful. Whatever nation you're from becomes better and stronger because you become better and stronger. So we want to continue to do that. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll make sure we post a link to connect to the YouTube channel so you can subscribe to that. We're going to have more and more videos coming out your way, and more teaching and training. And if you want to just get a little bit closer, get a little bit more detailed information, we do have the Academy of Influence. You can go to academyofinfluence.rocks and sign up for that. That's our membership where I communicate to you monthly. And I will have videos that I'm going to be doing like this specifically for the Academy of Influence. Academy of Influence has a real strong faith-based background on it. So that may be something that you would want to touch if you're faith-based and you have a strong faith individual. But I want to encourage you, continue to be a barrier buster, continue to break through your limits, and continue to grow. Make that decision, and you will become who you see yourself to become and who you desire to become. We'll see you next time.